Hi everyone, this is Anil Gupta. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Multicollab. So we created Multicollab a few years ago to bring in collaboration features like commenting and suggestions inside the WordPress. But that's not the only thing that Multicollab is capable of. In fact, a lot of our clients who move from Google Doc or other document editing tool to WordPress and Multicollab, there are several other things that we have observed the content creation team and publishers who use WordPress are missing out if Google Doc is still a part of their content creation or publishing workflow. So in this video today, I'm going to highlight some of those comparative differences between these two kind of workflow, where in the traditional workflow where you're using the Google Docs with WordPress, where you're copying and pasting the content from Google Docs to WordPress, and this new workflow where you are totally eliminating the need for the Google Docs. Instead, you are utilizing Multicollab in WordPress, and that brings a lot of great benefits and features. We will also explain how Multicollab and WordPress together can bring in a better speed and a better content creation experience for you and your team. So starting with, you might have noticed that Google Docs is not fundamentally designed for blog publishing. So the primary purpose of creating Google Doc is document creation. And that's something that a lot of time, the content creators did not see that when we are creating the content in Google Doc, we are missing out a lot of great features that WordPress, a blog editor, and WordPress, which is fundamentally designed for the blog and publishing, are missing out. The next one is there are not that many options to customize your own workflow with Google Doc, but in WordPress you are on control of how you want to design the workflow. So in Google Doc, you might have noticed that it's just that you create a document, you share with someone, and there are one or two level of permissions. But with Google Doc, with WordPress, you can customize it much more extensive way and personalize it according to your business needs. If you look at the options and controls for content formatting, I think Google Docs provides very basic level, but on WordPress there are plenty of custom and rich content blocks, and you can also design and create your own content block, which you can't do in Google Doc. Here you will see the comparison where there are so many different kind of blocks. You can have the patterns, you can create the reusable block. On Google Doc, they just provide the basic level of formatting options, and that's what you are going to utilize. The next one is that with Google Doc, each collaborator must have a Google account, right? And then only they can use or collaborate into the content. If you're using the Multicollab and WordPress in a combination, your user does not need a Google account. So this is also another thing, because each Google account costs you an additional dollars versus if you have 400, 500 or like 50, 100 people collaborating on a content, you can create as many users as you want in WordPress for free and invite them with Multicollab to collaborate on your content. We have also noticed that because you're drafting the content in Google Doc in this workflow, and then copying the content to the WordPress. So there are a lot of time that you or your content creation team need to invest in order to fixing those formatting, or on the other side, if you are drafting the content using the WordPress and collaborating using the Multicollab, then you are just drafting the content one time. So it saves a lot of time for you and your team. And this constant toggling between Google Doc and WordPress, is something that we have noticed that it also actually slows down, the entire publishing time, versus if you are creating drafting, editing, collaborating, and publishing everything in one single application, which is WordPress, then you are saving a lot of time. In fact, we did one study and we found that we did a side-by-side comparison of time it takes to publish one post with this workflow where you are drafting the content in Google Doc and then copying and pasting it into WordPress versus if you draft the content inside the WordPress and collaborate using Multicollab and then you publish, it saves 42% of the time. So that's something that is worth considering. Some of the enterprises that we work with, they have mentioned about this is as one of the big advantage of using Multicollab and WordPress, which is when you are drafting your content in Google Doc, your content is going outside. So if you are sensitive or concerned about all your content drafts or sensitive or confidential data to stay within your server environment or your infrastructure, I think you will love Multicollab and WordPress combination, because again, it allows you to have, because when you are using the WordPress, probably you are controlling the server environment infrastructure. In the case of Google Doc, your content is basically first going on a Google server and then you're copying it over to WordPress. Then another one is, you might have noticed that in Google Doc, it only has 3 different roles: owner, editor, and viewer or commenter, right? So someone can view, edit, or own. But in WordPress, and if you use Multicollab and WordPress in combination, you can create a lot of different custom roles and permissions. And this gives you much more control over how you want to design the workflow, publishing workflow. Here is an example of some of the custom roles and permissions that you can create with WordPress. And with the use of Multicollab, you can design how you want all of these permissions to work together. So this is something that you can do with WordPress and Multicollab, but unfortunately you can't do it with Google Doc. So the next one is, if you already are using a WordPress, and then you might have invested a lot of time and efforts into creating some custom blocks or custom designs or custom patterns. But when you are drafting your content in Google Doc and then copying it over to WordPress, you're not able to utilize those custom blocks or design or patterns or templates that you have invested time and energy into. Here is an example that there are a lot of custom blocks that probably you might have into your WordPress, but you're not able to utilize them if you are drafting the content into WordPress, into the Google Docs. And when it comes to the notification, I think within the Google Doc, you only get an email when somebody mention or invite someone to collaborate. But with Multicollab and WordPress, we are also offering more integration, so you can integrate these applications with your Slack or your CRM. So you get any comment activity or collaboration activities inside your platform or system. The next one is, I think co-editing is only available for 100 users. This is one area where Multicollab and WordPress right now is not winning, because we do not have the co-editing feature available at this moment in the WordPress. But when it is available, I think it will be a game changer. The next one is, in Google Doc, you can, I think, collaborate with 100 users, but with Multicollab and WordPress, there is no limit at this moment. So you can collaborate with 100, 200 or 500 people or authors or content creators. And I think Google Doc has right now a limitations of only 100 users. This might be something that you would not be paying attention to, but when you're creating the content in Google Doc and copying it over to WordPress, your content history is actually fragmented, and disorganized, because half of the content is in Google Doc and half of the content stays in WordPress. The revision history, if you have noticed, is actually in 2 different places. So this is also another big advantage if you want to maintain your draft to publishing. All the content revisions and history happen along the way in one centrally organized place. And then if you look at the Google Doc reporting, it's a very basic level, but with Multicollab and WordPress, you get much more advanced reporting. You can customize the reports. You can see how many people collaborating in different posts and pages. You can filter. You can create customized reports based on the timeline, based on the people's participation in the content. So there are much more rich and advanced way where you can customize and see the overall collaboration happening into your content. So these are some of the big differences that we wanted to highlight and share. I hope this will help you to empower and get enough knowledge and information to make the decision if Multicollab and WordPress for the collaboration and content publishing is a better choice compared to the existing workflow that a lot of content publishers use, which requires Google Docs and WordPress. Thank you.